random lines. Once you get good at it, you can get some really amazing effects. Just look at that. They obviously saw your film,
Where's his
didn't they?
blue?
Right, well, I can change the colour of the kingfisher. If I change it now, so like that. There we are, blue kingfishers for you. And I can even change the colour of the background. Look at that.
Very good.
It's good, isn't it?
Let me show you another one, which is also not a game. This is called a database, which is a kind of library, which has been sent in by Chris Hynam from Bristol, and he's 15. Now, have a look at this. This is a list of something like 250 British birds that he's put in. I'll just whiz through some of them. If I pick one at random, like the great crested grebe, it gives you the name, the height of the male, the height of the female, the time of the year that it's found. That's all year. If I go on a bit more, we might find some months. Can't see any. October to May, for example. And the sort of place that you find them on the seashore. There's one there. Now, I can also stop this and do a cross-indexing. Now, Sue, pick one of those three for me.
Well, let's look at habitats where birds
OK, let's punch up 3 for habitat. Now, what kind of habitat would you like?
Cliffs, because I like the coast.
Cliffs. Gosh, me typing.
Oh,
and here we've got all the birds which live on cliffs in Britain, and they're also coming out on the computer printer. Let me just run it for a couple more to get the idea, and then I'll stop it. There we go.
Stick it up on your wall, couldn't you? Well, now for a really fun game. That's been sent in by Paul Chard, he's 18, from Weston-super-Mare. And it's all about terrapins. It's sort of Space Invaders with terrapins. And what I have to do is to actually try and hit the vitamins or sunshine pills and food, because you get 5 points each for those, but I die if you hit a rock. So let's see how I do. Ooh. Oh, that wasn't too good. Come on,
Good
see
start,
if you do
good
better.
start.
I thought I was going to do
You know,
okay.
I'm completely naff on this game. I kill an awful lot of terrapins doing this. Right, here we go.
Oh, you did. Oh, well done. Ah.
Failed again. A lot of fun, but there is a more serious angle to terrapins as well. You remember a few weeks ago we showed you how difficult it was to keep terrapins as pets. In fact, our advice was not to keep them at all. Now, since then, you've sent us a lot of letters supporting that view. Rob Harper, who is himself a vet, says he's often inundated with requests to find homes for red-eared terrapins. Julian Sims sends us 3 articles he's published all about the difficulties of keeping terrapins. And the RSPCA tell us there is hard evidence that terrapins suffer in captivity. Now, on the strength of all this, we have written on your behalf to the Secretary of State for the Environment, suggesting that he considers a ban on the import of terrapins into this country. And we'll keep you posted on what happens. Now, Sue, for some news.
Well, first, some good news about one of our rarest mammals. According to this report, which has just been published, pine martens seem to have been doing really quite well during the last 10 years. Now, pine martens are closely related to stoats and weasels, and like them, they've been persecuted in the past by gamekeepers. In fact, 20 years ago, the pine marten was almost completely restricted to the Highlands in northwestern Scotland. However, this latest survey shows they're on the increase again, and they've even been feeding from bird tables. And overall, it seems that pine martens are spreading southwards in Scotland, and there's even hope that the tiny populations left in Wales and the Lake District are going to do better too.
Now, wolves. Earlier in the series, we told you that the North American government was trying to change the law to allow up to 60 wolves to be shot by sportsmen in the state of Minnesota. Now, that may not seem an awful lot, but there are only just over 1,000 wolves left in Minnesota, and that's the only population in the whole of the United States outside of the Alaskan colony. There's a little sequel. An American court has just ruled against the government, and so those wolves are going to be protected in their entirety for the next few years at least.
Well, there's good news about sparrowhawks as well this week. According to the latest figures, the sparrowhawks are well on the way to complete recovery after their population crash back in the 60s. Since the pesticides which were thought to have killed the birds were banned, there's been a gradual improvement. Now, it seems that although there are very few sparrowhawks left in East Anglia, they're almost back to their original population levels in the west of Britain.
Most of us have witnessed the unhappy sight of an animal lying dead by the side of the road, victim of another traffic accident. The Mammal Society is organising a survey to find out what gets killed, where and why. And reporting on the results of that survey is our guest from the Mammal Society, Matthew Woods.
Early last year, whenever I was in my dad's car, I took notes on any dead animals that I saw, what they were, the type of countryside and the road number. In fact, 8,000 reports were sent in on survey sheets like these by members of the Mammal Society. As you'd expect, the most common casualties were hedgehogs, then rabbits, but also voles, red and grey squirrels, badgers, weasels, and even a pipistrelle bat, the smallest of our British bats. The young animals were particularly badly hit because they have not developed the fear that adult animals seem to have. Do you remember that shot in 20th Century Fox some time ago which showed a fox actually checking both ways before it decided it was too dangerous to cross? And that's precisely the kind of road sense the younger animals haven't acquired. And there's a lot more detailed information that the survey has revealed. The Cohen Youth Group survey is on bat roosts in church porches, and if you'd like to know more about it, send a stamped address envelope to me here at Wildtrack.
Thank you, Matthew. Tomorrow evening sees the premiere at the Royal Festival Hall in London of a rather super film about golden eagles. Here's a quick preview.
From bill to tail, it can measure up to 1 metre in length, and every centimetre conveys an impression of craggy strength. The wingspan exceeds the height of most tall men, enabling the eagle to sail far and wide over the huge areas of its home range with the minimum of effort. On the ground, it can appear awkward and ungainly, but flight transforms the golden eagle into a creature of matchless, soaring grace.
Marvellous. When you see super shots like that, the first thing you think of is how on earth did they film them? When I was in Scotland recently, I found out that the Golden Eagle cameraman, Mike Richards, was working a few miles away. So I went over to see him and asked him all about it on his latest project, filming snowbuntings. Snowbuntings are sparrow-sized little birds, specially adapted to live almost all their lives in tough, wintry conditions. Their plumage is thick and warm and fluffy, and they're one of the few birds whose feathers change colour from summer to winter. They have short, thick bills for pecking at wind-blown seeds on the snow. It was in a hide appropriately camouflaged for the weather that I found Mike Richards filming the snowbuntings. Now, I know only too well that working in a hide can be uncomfortable, and in winter it's also extremely cold. So I put it to Mike that filming the eagles in winter and summer must be two very different operations.
The summer is relatively easy in that they nest at known breeding sites, on crags, on cliffs, in some quite surprising places. But you can watch particular areas and therefore gear your fieldwork towards it. For winter, it's a completely different ball game in that they live in an enormous area, 15,000 acres or so, and they're looking for live prey and fresh dead prey. Now it's this carrion, fresh dead meat that I spent a lot of time trying to get them to come to you, because you going to them is a non-starter because of the nature of the bird.
Let's talk about the actual hide that you used. What was it like? It presumably wasn't like this.
It was based on this. This is a metal frame with a canvas on it, and on top of that I put another layer of canvas to make sure it was absolutely wind-tight and absolutely watertight, because of course living in it had to be. And then over the top of that we camouflaged it with heather, which was thatched into chicken wire, so that it actually looked like a piece of the hillside.
How near to the bird? Or
well,
birds?
The hide we ended up filming with the chicks and young was at 25 feet.
Now, clearly you were using specialist equipment. What about the lenses?
Yes, I used a zoom lens for a lot of the time at the nest because there was great difficulty in actually changing lenses because the bird won't allow that. But for the close-ups, I had to change lens, often on a different day, in fact, which was a long lens, a 600 or a 300 for a medium close-up. And it's that combination of lenses which seemed to work.
Mike went on to tell me that, perhaps not surprisingly, one of the greatest moments of his whole 2-year programme, filming golden eagles, was the day the young birds flew. He watched them in late summer, standing in the eyries and flexing their muscles more and more in earnest. And then came the breathtaking moment when the two fledglings took to the air in flight. I must tell you a little postscript to that. Mike Richards told me that he spent 96 hours, that's 4 days and 4 nights, in that hide just to get that one magic sequence.
That really is dedication for you, isn't it? Well, next week is almost the climax of Bird Brain of Britain, and we've got stoats and little owls. So we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.